YouTube? It's your boy JB, man. What's good, man? Same hat, same glasses, same hoodie. You feel me? It's my work uniform, so don't worry about me. But yeah, just hear me out. I want to holler at y'all real quick about just in the state. I find it kind of hilarious that nobody says the same thing. It's like, how do we truly get to the root of the problem? How can we fix the problem? And the problem is, there are certain cities that don't want to have these immigrants, illegal or legal, whatever. They don't want them, you know? And here's proof positive. Governor Ron DeSantis, in my estimation, genius. Okay, so why sit there and send these poor illegal to a place in which they'll be living on the street, sick, possibly dying, no food, no money, no shelter, nothing. They're filling up the shelters in certain areas. He sent them to Martha's Vineyard. And for all of you guys who don't know about Martha's Vineyard, I mean, I've never been there, but I've seen certain things. Martha's Vineyard is a very beautiful, probably one of the most beautiful places in the whole States. And the funny thing is, people that live over there, they have more than enough money to be able to help out maybe sponsor 1 or 2 or 3 families of these illegal immigrants. Not to say that they need to, because that's not their responsibility one bit. Not at all. However, they could. Monetarily speaking, strictly by the money, they could. And to sit there and be upset that Ron DeSantis sent them over there, literally living lavish in air conditions. Conditions that they weren't accustomed to because they were at the border, trying to get over the border for a better life for them and their families. And to sit there and say that he's just an evil, terrible person, how evil is that in comparison to forcing these people who want better for themselves and want a better life, forcing them into these cities where they can't be taken care of? There's no resources even for the people that live in the city. Like the sanctuary cities like El Paso, Texas, for instance. That's literally very close to Mexico. And that's where a lot of them, you know, by virtue of the name, find sanctuary. So to sit there and say what he did was just terrible, awful, and no good is very, very ignorant, because he sent them, and it wasn't a whole bunch, I think it was like 25, 30, something like that, but he sent them into a situation so that they would be able to have more better living conditions, just at least for a little bit. I mean, eyewitness testimony says they were perfectly fine with going to Martha's Vineyard. Why? Because when you actually see what's going on, you understand, like, if they were to go to these sanctuary cities, I mean, you can sit there and say, oh, they can find a job, they can do this and that. They have to have shelter. Working isn't shelter. They have to have food. They have to be able to support themselves and their families. And that's why they're coming over here. They're not coming over here to be in the same position that they were in Mexico. That's why I think that they need to do something to strengthen the border, so that if they format the thought process a little bit different, I feel as though we'd be able to get further. Instead of saying we need to keep these illegals out because they're rapists and drug lords and things of that nature, I feel as though it would be smarter for us to sit there and say we should try to maybe filter who comes into the United States a little bit better. Because I'm not one for race and racism and things like that. But if we look at European countries, access to being legal in the United States is 10 times easier because of how they come, and it's more organized. It's not, you know, people just trying to get over. They have plans and things like that. The people in Mexico are literally just trying whatever they can and throwing shit at the wall to see if they can survive. And we, at a point, we are going to fall and our foundation is going to crumble because we are sitting here not doing right by these people that are trying to come in here. And we can sit there and say what Ron DeSantis has done is wrong. But if we can find places in our lower populated areas, I mean, in like the Midwest and things, you know, areas like that, we could find programs and stuff like that to allow them, not necessarily to give them money, but allow them for an easier life than what they would have had at the border in Mexico, and if they would have sat in these sanctuary cities. They're heavily populated areas. New York has become crime-ridden and heavily populated. I don't feel as though there's certain areas in New York City. I don't want people that's coming from Mexico to go right back to Mexico. New York City is not a great area, especially at night. You're coming from possibly these drug cartels and stuff like that just to go and be scared to look, to go out at night, as opposed to, certain areas. I'm sure every state and every city has crime, but if you really compare it, we hear nothing serious on a regular basis from Wyoming, nothing serious from Colorado, Idaho, Iowa. We don't hear things in the Midwest. And I feel like if we did a better job with kind of allocating these immigrants to these areas, we would have a lot more space and wouldn't have to spread the resources in these sanctuary cities amongst the people that are trying to live there already and the immigrants that are. Because if you look at the Midwest, those states are bigger. There's more of those states than Jersey, or in the metropolitan area. Texas is huge. So, Texas is a little bit different. However, even still, they're literally coming from Mexico into Texas. I feel as though if we allocated these immigrants, we would do so much more better for them, as opposed to trying to make everything so political. Everything does not need to be political. Although it is political, there's certain ways to kind of step back from the politics and just look at it. Anyway, I'm going to holler at y'all. Till next time.